Sean, this is this purpose that wakes me up in the morning. I get excited about it.
For me, my pain became my purpose. Starting a spark that can become a flame in somebody else is living a life of purpose for me. And that's what gets me up every day. It's been lots of fun.
Yeah, it has been fun. That's the idea. That's part of the adventure. That's
I
what
talk
I
about
want it to
purpose
be.
all day long.
Well, that is it. I'm alive with purpose. And you threw those words in there. And I'm like, we're going to need a whole nother podcast on this. We should talk about it being. Aloha, everybody. Welcome to Alive with Purpose. I am your host, Sean Christian. Now, if you're at all curious about what it takes to live a life of passion and purpose and realize your full potential, you were definitely in the right place, because I'm just as curious as you are. So let's take this adventure. Let's explore what it takes to create a life that makes us feel alive with purpose. And this is why I want to kind of get into this social media literacy, because it's a big thing. Mm-hmm. It's huge. It is amazing how technology can transform the world. I mean, it really is. And we can use it for good. We can use it for bad. And everybody sort of bashes on the social media. And I didn't even grow up in social media. I was literally, I wasn't playing with alligators, but I was in my field, and that's going to be in my head like all day. She was actually with alligators, not the truth. But I was outside playing. This idea of social media, when people are like, you need to get on social media, you need to tell people about what's happening in your world. I'm like, I heard like less is more. Mm-hmm. Like the more private my life is and where I come from. Right. That's we honor that.
Right.
You don't need to sit there and express every little detail of your life or what's happening. Mm-hmm. And then of course, for business purposes, yeah, I get it. It makes sense. But tell me a little bit more about, your passion for this social media literacy, because mm-hmm. it is damaging a lot of people's lives, and they gravitate to that negative comment, and it sends them in a spiral.
Right. So it starts from my own story. I got on social media for the first time when I was about 13. So it's right in that really pivotal point in my life where I was starting to establish who I was, but I was also really struggling with insecurity. And so I got on Instagram, and at the time, I love to say this, and when I got on Instagram for the first time, my mom still had a flip phone. And so she didn't know about social media. Nobody warned me of the dangers of social media because nobody really knew how it would affect me, especially as a growing teenager and as my mind is developing, as my worldview is developing. And so not only did I allow the pressures of my circle to affect me, I opened myself up to be subject to the pressures of the entire world, right? I mean, we think about what it's like to be connected to the entire world. And we say that like it's a great thing, and it is, but it also comes with those negative ramifications of you're not just subject to the people around you, you're subject to the entire world and what comes along with that. And so for me, that really led me to a point where I just believed that I was worthless, truly. I believed that I didn't have any value and that I was purposeless. That's the word I use to describe that phase of my life all the time. I believe that I was purposeless because I was chasing followers and likes and fans, if you will, at such a young age when I hadn't yet established what my core values were. And so I was just so wishy-washy all the time. I couldn't find a path and stick with it. And so as I got older and as I began to establish who I was and to battle through these things and to find my value and my confidence, I realized how big of a role social media played into that at that phase of my life specifically. And I remember a very pivotal point for me was when I competed at Miss South Carolina Teen one year. I competed for that 4 times, never won. But my second to last try, I got up on stage, and my onstage question was about social media and confidence and self-esteem. And I just opened up, and I was so passionate about it. And I just shared my story on stage in front of thousands of people. And I walked off stage, and I remember talking to my mom afterwards and just being like, why is that not what I talk about? Why is that not what I share when I have this platform to share it? Because that was the most passionate I had ever been on stage. So why is that not what I spend my day-to-day life talking about? And so even though I was still struggling with it at that time, talking about it and sharing that with other people is what allowed me to overcome that struggle. And that was really when Real Not Perfect took off, and just launched into another level of, hey, let's have those conversations. Let's acknowledge social media for the tool that it is, but also for the negative ramifications that it can bring to our lives. And when we talk about it and when we discuss it, when we have an awareness for it, we're able to use it in a way that is wise and in a way that doesn't affect who we are as individuals.
Yeah, and it doesn't identify us.
Right.
Other people's comments, other people's opinions don't identify who we are as a person. And I love that journey, because even you said you were even in the middle of it, battling self-esteem and sense of self-worth, and you went to, right? Well, that'll never stop,
right.
by the way, right? That is going to be an ongoing battle, but that's why anchoring those values, and the sooner we can do that, the less impact sort of the negative world sort of has on us, and we invite and welcome the positive impact, things that help enrich, elevate, empower, ignite, our life and enlighten us in many ways. But how many people struggle with this and being vulnerable enough and honest enough. That's like, you got to that place. Vulnerability is everything. It's a thing I struggled with many years. Like, don't be vulnerable, just man up, get it done. Just do the thing, like
right.
just work through it. And I didn't have the conversation. Like you said, having these conversations is the best thing we can do. But in light of being vulnerable, how do you encourage people, and young people in particular? We're like, look, I'm going to take this leap of vulnerability here and share my inner thoughts and feelings, which they should, by all means, but how can they, what's the sort of the process they can go through to kind of take that first courageous step?
For me, and what I encourage people to do is to find your safe place. I think we all need a place where we can just be, where who we are is enough and we can just exist. We can just be, especially with the people around us. And so I always tell kids, especially, I'm like, where do you feel the most comfortable? For me, it's at home on my couch with my dog. And that's the place where I can just be. And then you invite people that you trust into that space. Because the thing with vulnerability is that it's great in the right setting, but you have to cultivate that setting with people that deserve to hear your vulnerability. Not everybody deserves to hear your vulnerability, because not everyone will respond to your vulnerability in a good way. So cultivating that space where, number one, you can just be, and number two, where you can invite people in to just be with you, is so important for cultivating vulnerability. And as you learn and as you practice that, you will, you'll figure out who your people are, who you can trust, who you can cry to, who you can be completely authentic and completely vulnerable around. And that's when that all kind of takes off and it just sets in and it becomes a core part of who you are.
That is so true. Like finding the right people to be vulnerable with, and be vulnerable with the people who've earned that right. There's levels of trust, right? There's unconditional trust. Like, there's very few people that we just literally share our full story. It's got to be with the people who earn it. You can't like sort of floodlight it like, oh my gosh. And everyone's like, it's like shining a bright light in your face. You're like, this is a lot.
Yeah.
You don't know. I don't have context. And it's a cry for help in that way. But it's a beautiful advice. And the first step is find that safe space and create that safe space. And this is the beauty about, I think, growing up the way you did and how you did, and having the freedom to explore and adventure and be in your own thoughts, not on a phone, and being your own, having a healthy conversation with you. Like, that can be the beginning of a safe space as well, as we get, oh, I'm so stupid, or I'm such a failure, or I'm such a thing, or I'm such a mistake. You're like, wait. Did you make a mistake, or are you a mistake? Big, conversation that really can spiral downwards if you're not having a healthy conversation. Surrounding yourself with quality people who you can trust, and give yourself that safe space, even with yourself. I think it's such a great advice. And you describe in the pageants, I love this stuff. You go, these are my sisters. Because I think everybody else, you can see, like, we're competing, and I don't know, what is she wearing? What is she thinking? What is he doing? Or she doing? Whatever. You always describe this as your sisters. And I always light up about that. Is this your, like, how you find empowerment and enrichment in your life? I mean, with your sisters?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. I love competing in the Miss America organization specifically because of the emphasis that's put on empowerment, and really understanding that my strength is not anyone else's weakness and their strength is not my weakness. And understanding that we can all be successful together and that their success and their light doesn't diminish mine. And so I think when you understand that and you understand that the people around you are the people that you're called to love on and you're called to support, then you can really practice authenticity with those people that are around you. And for me, pouring into other people and investing in other people is where I find my strength. It's where I find my value. I just remember when I competed, I think the second year that I went to the state competition, I actually won Miss Congeniality, which for me was the best award that I've ever won. Because at the time I was just struggling so badly with trying to figure out who I was and trying to figure out what I was all about. And so, how did I try and discover that? Well, I would walk up to anybody and everybody and just say, "Hey, like, are you good? Can we chat?" And I would just encourage and pour into other people. And in doing that, I ended up filling my own cup by just loving on other people. And for me, that was how I felt love, and how I felt belonging was creating that space for other people.
I love that. And I love the word creating. I just like I'll repeat, that's one of my like core values, as I shared,
Mhm.
because we have an opportunity to create
Yes.
something better, something different, whether it's a thought, whether it's a feeling, whether it's a relationship. And the way you say it, I create something different. And you've also taken the spotlight off of yourself. We don't become so self-obsessed. You take
Mhm.
that energy and you give. I love that empowerment principle that you described there, because I think if we get into this spiral of self-loathing or self-doubt, think about how you can serve,
Mhm.
how you can give, and it's changed the way you look at the world. I can, for someone who's competitive, and I get you. I play a lot of athletics. I compete and I love it, but I love the game more than I love beating someone. If that makes sense.
Right. Oh,
Mhm.
absolutely.
It's not about that. It's about bringing out the best in all of us, and everyone benefits from that.
Mhm.
You know.
Empowerment is found in a place of humility. And to me, humility is not thinking less of myself. It really isn't. It's acknowledging that I have something to give, and that in order to take the pressure and to take just the stress off of myself and to empower other people, I have to choose to serve them. And I have the ability to serve other people through humility. And I think we live in a world that is very self obsessed. I think social media really plays into that too. But I think empowerment comes when you choose to not look at yourself as much, but to look at the people around you and say, how can I serve? How can I
Yeah.
love you? How can I invest in you and support you? And when you can do that, then really and truly you found a place where you're content in who you are. It takes contentness in yourself in order to uplift and empower other people.
Yeah, you get that sense of peace. I used to look at
Mhm.
as contentment as a negative word. I really did. Like, I'm being
Mhm.
lazy. Am I not?
Right.
I'm a
Right.
working class kind of family. You work. I'm like, but wait, find that sense of content. Contentment's not a bad word. It's a sense
Yeah.
of peace and honoring and valuing.
Yes.
It's true. I love the truth that you describe, and that empowerment approach that you're talking about. How can you serve and give?
Hmm.
Or is there something in your life where you're like, I was involved in this children's activity or whatever it was that just blew your mind about the power of giving?
I'm trying to now process back through all of my all of my life, to find one specific moment. I think, something that always sticks with me, and makes me cry every time I think about it, was I went and spoke to a school one time, and I was talking about worth and value and supporting other people and loving other people, and empowering those around you, and how that is an act of humility and it's an act of service. This little girl walked up to me afterwards, and she said to me, and I can't remember exactly how she phrased it, but it was something along the lines of, nobody has ever told me that I was worth anything before. And she was like, that's a new concept to me. And she was like, how do you find worth in the people around you too? Like, how can I encourage my friends in their own worth? And just the selflessness in this little girl, that she wasn't as concerned with herself as she was with her friends, just really touched me. And then she asked me how she could be thinking of me,
Oof.
and just how what she could do to serve me, what she could say to boost me that day. And I talk to the kids too about compliments and how you can boost someone else through compliments, and to compliment something about themselves, not necessarily something that's physical, but something about their character.
Right.
And so she said, I just love your kindness. And it just got me. I just started crying on the spot. And just the peace of this little girl, and what I said in a time where I was struggling, that boosted somebody else up, it just got me. It really did. I think that's a moment that I will remember probably for the rest of my life.
Oh, I get it. That is a powerful, powerful moment. And it's beautiful how that very statement about worthiness shifted her mindset,
Mm,
and with a sense of not just worthiness, but how can I serve, with a sense of worthiness. And she looked at your character. She saw your kindness. She saw your humility. She saw, and if we can look at individuals that way,
mhm,
your ability at the things that you're doing, that's why this is so powerful. And I'm grateful to have you here. It's so important. That's the way we start looking at people, through their character, through the
mhm,
qualities,
mhm.
the inner beauty, the things that they offer in life. If we can just look at human beings that way, and it's shifting to some degree, which is great. It really is. And you're getting your message out there to young women and all individuals, by the way. I think it's extremely powerful, because you're making an impact on the way the next generation thinks and feels,
Mhm,
not only about themselves, but the world around them,
mhm.
you know?
Focusing on character. Well, I had a mentor one time that said, and this will always stick with me, your do is not your who. And looking at the character of people is so much more important than looking at their action, and looking at their success. And so she said it because I was wrapped up in finding my identity in the next bit of success, or the next crown, or the next
Right.
job promotion, or whatever. And she said, Julia, your do is not your who. Your identity is not found in what you do, but it's instead found in who you are, and in your character, and in what you have to offer. It's not found in any crown, any job, any award. It's not found in any of those things. Those things can add to your identity. They are pluses to your identity, but
Right.
they are
Right.
not the core value of your identity. And that has always shaken me, um, because I think a lot of people look at purpose, and they look at their job or their career as the same thing. But a job or a career is temporary, and purpose is a direction. And so I think, making that distinction what what has allowed me to not put value into, or not put my value into, a crown or a title or Instagram followers or whatever. And that really is the root. That's the base of real not perfect, which is what I talk about every single day, is remembering that your do is not your who, and that you're valuable as a human being just as you are.
Love that. I'm just going to let that marinate for a moment. And I want people to think about that. Just sit with that thought. That
Mhm,
is a beautiful thought. I mean, that is something really in purpose. And because we lose our identity by our job, if we lose our job, or
mhm,
we don't get uh, picked on the softball field or the baseball field, or whatever, or we're not crowned or whatever, we equate our sense of self-worth attached to something external.
right.
It, and we just do this sort of negative spiral on, oh my God, I didn't get picked, or oh my gosh, I got fired from my job and I'll never get another job. And wait, that's not your identity.
Right.
Who
Who
you
are you
are.
outside of that?
Right. And cultivating, because,
Mhm,
especially in the last couple of years, I mean, people are really coming to a moment to go, wait, I'm not identified by my job. Who am I?
right.
Right. What
Right.
brings me value? What brings me passion and purpose? And
Mm,
that journey, which I'm fascinated by, how that spark of thought goes from a passion to a quest to a mission to a state of just living.
mhm,
It's who I am. It's just it's not even there's no real, it's not a title,
Right.
You shift that. I think that's a powerful message to keep passing forward as our identities, continue to evolve and grow. I love that one. I'm like, write that down. I'm like, when I hear a good nugget, I'm like, write that down.
It's such a good one. And the more you think about it, the more it just blows your mind. My mission in life is just to live with a childlike spirit, to live with that adventurous, nothing can stop me, I am fearless mindset that we all have when we're kids, right? And, I think that ties back into how I was raised, and the environment that I was raised in was just to chase everything, no looking back, find that adventure. And for me, that's how I look at life now. I don't worry about setbacks or failures or anything like that, because they just launch me into a new direction, into a new path that adds to my purpose and adds to who I am. And so my goal in life, just chase with childlike spirit, childlike faith, just run after whatever your purpose may be with that mindset, and nothing can stop you. Nothing can drag you down.
100%. 100%. Live with the adventurous spirit as a child. That's what even in my introduction, I'm like, welcome to another adventure.
Yeah.
I just live that way. Like I wake up with that, like, what is today's adventure going to be? What kind of adventure can I create today? What is it? Well, how can I use my imagination? How can I use that childlike wonder to live an adventure? And you're absolutely right. You're going to stumble. You're going to fall. You're going to be like, how am I going to get over that rock? How am I going to cross that river? How am I going to, and it's joy. There's no pressure.
Right.
It's not like I got to find my mission. I got to find my purpose. Wait, I'm on an adventure. I get to create it.
Yeah.
And you shift that. I love that. That is the golden nugget. I mean, it vibrates in me 100% because that's how I live my life as an adventurous child to many aspects. Like, what are you, 12? I'm like, no,
yeah.
but that's how I feel. Yeah.
I am. I always forget how old I am. I'm like, yeah, I'm just 12.
Exactly. Just going with it. I'm just going to go with it and never lose that spirit. And if that's a spark that ignites anybody who's listening right now, just remind yourself, you're on a beautiful adventure. Enjoy it. The highs and the lows. Adventure's full of excitement. It's full of fear. It comes with things that are scary, but you're on it. You're in it. You're living it. I think that tie, and it makes so much sense just sitting here talking with you, about a girl who was an adventurous girl, and you've gone through this amazing journey of highs and lows and self-discovery and introspection and self-doubt. And even to the part, as you talked about, self-worthiness. It's one of everybody's struggles. But that purpose that keeps driving you, how do you define that? Like what is that motor? You go, Sean, this is this purpose that wakes me up in the morning. I get excited about it and brings me here today, or whatever it is. Do you have like clarity on what that is?
So for me, my pain became my purpose. My lack of self-worth and lack of self-value became what became my purpose. And so cultivating that in other people and helping other people to find their value and to find their worth is my purpose. And my goal in life is to be as selfless as possible and allow that to fill me. And that to me is a purpose greater than just who I am. You know what I mean? Like, that is starting a spark that can become a flame in somebody else, is living a life of purpose for me. And that's what gets me up every day, is how can I choose to serve other people today? How can I empower other people today? How can I love other people today? And in doing that, I will get all of those things in return.
Yeah, what a great motor. I love that. That's what and if people can tap into that, is really just going, you get to create this purpose of service. And I do believe, and science will certainly back it up, when we give, we do feel better. We really, really do. There's some great neuroscience around that whole thing. So as you've evolved in all these amazing identities, and as you look to the vision of this future with this, which is continue to grow, will continue to be challenged. And I just want to go back to this pain and to purpose, by the way, because that is a valuable thing. And when I was like, ooh, that is something that is so important, because we all encounter pain and we all encounter obstacles. We all encounter challenges, but how can we create purpose from pain?
Mm-hmm.
How can we create opportunity from obstacle? How can we create a chance
Mm-hmm.
from a challenge, right? Like,
Right.
what a beautiful perspective that you're taking that is allowing you to navigate the highs and lows of life and then go wrap it around service.
Mm-hmm.
It's
You
just
can
such
allow pain to crush you, or you can allow pain to drive you. It can do one or the other. And you can choose what you
yeah,
want it to do for you. Pain is never a good thing, but it can become something that drives you to a good thing.
yeah, yeah, well said. That's well said. Because we don't want to invite pain. It's not,
Right.
if I create more pain, I'll have more purpose, right?
Yeah.
No, that's not it. That's not it. Yeah. When we encounter the struggle, when we encounter the pain,
Mm-hmm.
really kind of anchor yourself with a sense of purpose. And like, I believe our passion is for us and our purpose is for others.
Mm-hmm.
When those two are firing on all cylinders, you've got an adventurous life. You really do.
Yes.
So moving forward and in imagining yourself in maybe 3 to 5 years, what is the vision of the future that you like? This is kind of what I'm seeing, the vision of this future me.
So it's all in pencil. So it can definitely.
Like yes.
I'm trying to live life with an adventurous spirit, understanding that with every open door, there is a completely new hallway to explore, right? And so I hold my plans very loosely. I'm one of those people that's like, well, let's chase the purpose and the other things will fall into place. But for me, in the next few years, am headed back to college. I'm finishing my degrees in piano performance and communications. And then from there, we'll see what happens. I would like to take Real Not Perfect with me, and continue to use that every single day of my life, and eventually to make a career out of that. Because I think when you combine purpose with a career, then you're unstoppable, really and truly. So I would like to possibly do something in the law field. Law school is definitely the plan. But
Okay.
again, all of those things are held very, very loosely. If I've learned anything through my 7-year journey in the Miss America organization, it is that if I plan something and I write it in pen, I will always be disappointed. But if I just go with the flow and go with the adventure and just chase purpose and passion, then I will always be fulfilled. So we'll see what happens.
Well, that's a great adventure ahead. It really is. I think it's a perfect attitude. You have vision and focus clearly, and you're not afraid to take risks and step outside of the box. And if other opportunities sort of open them up, you're an open spirit, an adventurous spirit, as you said. I think that's wonderful to keep that kind of open mind, because people get in a fixed mindset and not a growth mindset, and we miss all these beautiful opportunities to use your gift, and it is a truly amazing gift. I cannot wait to see how the vision of your future unfolds. I'm sure we'll have more conversations. We'll definitely have you back. I'm like, what amazing thing you doing now? What's happening? You're like, I don't know, but guess what? I stumbled on this adventure, but look where I went. You know what I mean?
Literally, that is the story of my life. I accidentally stumbled into this. I tell people all the time that I accidentally won Miss South Carolina because it was not in my plan at all. But the most beautiful things come from when you just say, "Oh yeah, sure, let's try it."
Yes. Yeah, the sort of a yes mentality. You go, yes, I don't know. I do that all the time. Yeah, I don't know. And then I keep saying yes to so many people. I'm like, hold on.
Yeah.
Let me focus again. Let me get back to focusing.
Right. Right. If you
So
say yes along your purpose, you will always be fulfilled.
yeah, love it. That's a huge nugget. I did read something about you. You have this. I don't know if I have the same obsession necessarily. I wouldn't call it an obsession, but your obsession, as described, a pineapple. What is that?
I have no idea. I always remember loving pineapple as a kid. And I think honestly, I was one of those kids that if anyone else didn't like it, then I was gonna like it. I was one of those. And so none of my siblings liked pineapple because they said it hurt their tongue. And so I was like, "Ha, that's my favorite fruit. What do you mean?" And so I loved it. I don't know. And so I used to eat like an entire pineapple every day. It was probably not healthy, but it was so delicious. And I got so obsessed with it to the point where my childhood bedroom is pineapple themed everything's yellow and green, and I have pineapple sheets and pineapple pillows and a pineapple chair. It's really extra, but I loved pineapples.
You, as a kid, you have that, or you have that now?
Uh, Both. It's still at my parents' house. Yeah, it's
No,
still
it's okay.
like
I
that.
know your mom has it up, because if I go home, my mom's got everything up that I grew up
Yeah,
in.
exactly as it was.
Oh yeah, it's like a shrine. I'm like, Mom, are we moving on? Are we everything cool?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure your mom still has it. It's like, but this is you. This is your pineapple paradise.
Yeah, literally. It's so funny going home and being like, this is so funny. Oh my God.
I love that. I do. Well, that is one of the, like people will bring wine, or people bring a gift or whatever when they go to somebody's house. I bring a pineapple.
I love that.
Yeah, I mean, it is a symbol, of course, of hospitality, certainly in your
Yeah.
aloha spirit, but I'm like, it's one of those things, especially now, because you know who drinks and do they not drink, and you're just not sure. He's like, okay, but a pineapple.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So, I'll be bearing pineapples if we ever meet in person. So
I love that.
there you go.
I'm going to start doing that. Instead of taking house plants or something, I'm going to take pineapples.
Yes, there's a wonderful, wonderful sort of lore and mythology around giving and sharing of a pineapple, because it's hospitality. It's like the aloha spirit. You're
Yeah.
giving. I'm like, here
I
to
also
just.
love the crown of a pineapple.
That makes sense.
What's that cheese ball phrase that I used to have written on my wall? Oh my gosh. It was like, be like a pineapple, sweet on the inside and always wearing your crown, or something. It's something like that. I don't know exactly how it went, but I think that's one of the reasons I love pineapples so much.
That makes sense. Be a little rough on the outside, be adventurous, right? Be scarred, own those scars. It's not a perfect shape, right? It's really, there's a lot of metaphors. We can just go on and on.
Oh, absolutely. I did a speech in college freshman year. I was in a public speaking class, and the professor assigned us to write a speech comparing ourselves to an inanimate object. And I chose a pineapple for many reasons, but yeah.
What was the number one reason? I got to know now. I mean,
Probably that I claimed to be rough around the edges, but then sweet on the inside, even though I am the world's biggest empath. I don't know if I have any roughness around my edges at all, but I like to pretend that I do. So that was the biggest reason. And then the whole like growing up on an island thing came into play there too. And then the wearing a crown, those were kind of my 3 points.
makes sense. I like this. I'm going to just kind of self-analysis via pineapple.
Yes.
I think you're sort of, you found your spirit plant. I guess you will. Yeah.
Yeah. My favorite emoji is the pineapple emoji, because it just fits in every situation.
Makes sense. It has been such a pleasure and an honor to have you here and get to know you, actually. Amazing. I mean, I read the biography, but just actually speaking with you in person, and we had some conversations off screen, but wow, I'm truly, truly excited about your journey ahead, where you've been, where you're at, and never afraid to go where you want to go and adventure where you need to adventure.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you were like, Sean, I'd like to share this? Is there anything that just sort of comes to mind that you would like, the audience to know, or you just want to share?
What I always like to leave people with, especially when I talk about social media, is don't ever confuse being in contact with being connected. And I like to tell people, focus on being connected with those around you, and connection will lead to a sense of belonging. So if you've been listening to us today and you want to find your sense of belonging, focus on connection, not being in contact. That's what I always like to leave with.
Beautiful. Well said. And I love that. It's one of my core values, is really connecting.
Yes.
It isn't a like, it isn't, and it doesn't come, that's not connection.
Right.
Real human connection.
Yes.
Well said. I appreciate it. And I appreciate you. I appreciate you taking the time to be here. And I'm sure our paths will cross again soon. Because yes, I want to help out and contribute in any way I can to your platform.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me. This has been lots of fun.
Yeah, it has been fun. That's the idea. That's part of the adventure. That's what
I talk about purpose all day long.
Well, that is it. I'm alive with purpose. And you threw those words in there. And I'm like, we're going to need a whole nother podcast on this. She talked about being alive, and I want to know what she feels, what that means to her, because what people feel about being alive is unique to everyone. Those things strike me, and the words alive, purpose, adventure. I'm like, on all cylinders with those. So we'll definitely be doing this again. Well, 100%, because I'm here to help and serve all of your projects, your passion projects, and your purpose. So,
I appreciate that. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Thanks for being here. Mahalo.
Don't know what that means.
That means goodbye.